Hello Transformers family, and welcome to another episode of George Reviews. I am an 80s Transformers fan, and today we'll be taking a look at Hasbro's 1984 Decepticon Warrior Thundercracker. He is the third and final jet on my countdown. And speaking of countdown, let's break out the checklist. Thundercracker is at number 23 on our countdown. I am going to get Thundercracker marked off right now. And we only have technically three Decepticons to go and two more reviews until we are done with 1984. Alright, speaking of 1984, we got the amazing toy line. It was Transformers from Hasbro that has gone on to spawn multiple toy lines, from Beast Wars to RID to Masterpiece Toys to Siege and everything else. But this is where it all started, or so you might think. Before Hasbro got these toys, they were available in Japan through a company called Takara as part of the Jet Robo line. And Thundercracker in that line was not a sentient being. There would be a little human being in some type of little mech suit that would get inside of the jet that went on to be Thundercracker and pilot him. And in that toy line, a lot of these figures would have color variants. And Thundercracker really doesn't have a color variant. The plastic is slightly different, you know, maybe because they switched companies and safety reasons and regulations for the United States. But he came in a blue, and there was a color palette available for Starscream as well. But in that toy line, the biggest difference is they didn't have faction logos, Autobots and Decepticons. On the second-hand market, the figure that went on to become Thundercracker mint in boxes over $1,000. Like, you just can't get it cheap. And to not be a big color difference or variant, I've never thought to go after it. I own a lot of Diaclone figures, but I try to get the Diaclone figures that are different than what we got in the United States, at least more different than what we got from Thundercracker. But anyway, fast forwarding to the then future past, from like 82 to 84, Hasbro got these figures and made them Transformers, and this became Decepticon Warrior Thundercracker. I don't even know if he had an individual name over there other than Jet Robo, but this is what we got. He became a Decepticon baddie. He is based on a real live jet, a McDonnell Douglas F-15C Eagle. He looks like a very convincing McDonnell Douglas F-15C Eagle. All right, let's take a closer look at Thundercracker. This one is all stickered up. His stickers is kind of beat up. And there was a time in my life where I would run to Repro Labels, now Toy Hacks, and try to make my guys look a little bit better. But since so many toys have been reissued and knocked off, I think there's a certain charm to the damaged stickers. It just lets you know it's authentic, and it just takes you back to that day. You know, unless they're truly tattered and just gotta be replaced. But I think there's a certain charm to the vintage stickers. His F-15 Eagle mode has a few features. Let's check them out. You can open a cockpit. Obviously, that's where the pilot would go. It opens and closes. No true seat in there. It's just a space. The missiles or machine guns in this mode fire where they're supposed to fire. There are little things you can do to like uncoil the spring a little bit and smash it back in there to make them fire again. But I really don't have the need for that, because I'm not going to fire it then. They might fire one night while it's on the shelf and I'll lose it in the night. He has a little die-cast landing gear. It's attached to plastic and it just pours in underneath, and it actually rolls. It rolls pretty good. The funny thing is, you would think they would not use, because they use rubber in this line. It's like, why would they go with die-cast? But it actually rolls pretty good, even on my funny surface. So yeah, I think that's about it for features in this mode. His nose cone is rubber for safety reasons in the United States. I believe in the Diaclone line. I never had the Diaclone, but I believe it is hard plastic. But this is rubber. The wings, because they poured out and he's a little bit of a parts former, you can pull them out. Same thing with the rear tail fins or rudders. Are these tail fins? These are rudders. These rudders. I don't. I'm not an aviator. But these can rotate, and on the back he has molded in jet engines, which look pretty cool. Like I said, he looked like a really good jet. They all did. All right, let's take a look at what Thundercracker came with in 1984. This is my vintage box. I'm getting it all in. And here is the artwork for Thundercracker. His face is drawn very differently than Starscream's and Skywarp's. He got a lot of detailing on his jet mode. He looks pretty mean. It looks pretty cool. This box is not in the greatest condition. The top of the box has the jet mode and the 5 steps transformation. I think it's a little bit more than that. The bottom of the box, jet mode, transformer mode. Man, these toys were so awesome, and the boxes were awesome. The box reads, includes Thundercracker, plane, 2 wings, 2 rudders, 2 tail fins, 2 rocket launchers, 2 rockets, 2 incendiary guns, 2 fists, landing gear, tech specs, decoder, label sheet, and instruction sheet. So look, I just learned something by looking at this. We got 2 rockets and 2 incendiary guns. So these are incendiary guns. I never knew that. Did y'all know that? I know. I would say machine gun. The instruction sheet might actually say something different. Let's swing around to the back of the box. The iconic artwork that we checked out, and man, it was so Japanese stylized. Look at the faces on these guys. Where is Sunstreaker? This is why the cartoon took a lot of liberties and actually made a lot of this stuff different to Americanize it or whatever. They didn't want to promote the Japanese culture, and it was like, we just got to make this totally American. But anyway, this is the back of the box. He still has the robot points, proof of purchase, and we get a bio and a tech spec so we can know what Hasbro intended us for play in this toy line. And we're going to check it out right now. Right here, it reads Decepticon, Thundercracker, function, warrior. The deadliest weapon is terror. Thundercracker is contemptuous of anything that cannot fly. Not totally convinced of the Decepticon cause, but they persuade him to continue battling the Autobots. Flies at speeds of up to 1,500 miles per hour. Produces controlled, deafening sonic booms. Can be heard for 200 miles. Equipped with powerful drone rockets and incendiary guns. Doubts about his cause sometimes impedes his effectiveness. All right, we're going to move over to Thundercracker's technical spec readout. You know what? I'm going in. All right, for this portion, I'm going to break out his decoder, even though I'm going to cover the screen with video. You probably won't see it, but at least I'll get the nostalgic feel. All right. I'm going to read his technical readout now. It reads, his strength is a 7. His intelligence is a 4. His speed is a 7. His endurance is a 7. His rank is a 5. His courage is an 8. His firepower is a 7. And his skill is a 7. Thundercracker also comes with 2 long rockets. We kind of covered that reading the box. And 2 fists. These are single tab fists because one side, and they have the number 4 on them. I have never noticed that in all my life. I'm learning a lot of stuff just by doing the toy reviews. They have the number 4 right there in the corners. And again, they're single tab. Early version was single tab. Later on, they became double tab where you can see the tab on both sides. Let me see. Let me break out my Generation 1 thrust, and he should show us the difference. Here is thrust fist, tab on the front, and he has a number 3. Is that a 3 or a 5? I'm blind. Number 3. Like I said, I'm learning stuff just by doing a toy review. You think you know it all, but you don't. So that is the difference in the fist. And later on, Thundercracker would receive these exact style of fists. I think when it became the rub version. So we want to thank Thrust for making a guest appearance and being within arm's reach doing this tour review. So moving on. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, I never had Thundercracker as a kid. It wasn't until I became an adult collector. Now it's Missile One to Fire. Ain't that a... I mean, I tried to get the fire early. It would not fire off, but it shot out. When I became a dope collector, I got Thundercracker. I bought it at a toy show. I bought it complete in the box for, I think it was 65 bucks back in like 2002, 2003. And I remember walking away, and a guy, I guess he was going to buy it before me, and the dealer sold it to me anyway. And the guy, he was so bummed out he didn't get it. And then he told me he really wanted the bubble inside of the box to complete his Thundercracker. And I don't have the bubble because I sold it to the guy. I paid $65 for this toy, and the guy bought the bubble insert for 40 bucks off of me, like on the spot. And I was like, here you go. And back then, I collect the boxes if I can get them, and if I can get them at a cheap price, but I don't go in to get the boxes. It really doesn't matter to me. But sold the guy the bubble, and then I remember getting on eBay later that day, and I saw the bubble going for like 80 bucks. But it was cool, man, because I got what I wanted. You know, I really don't display it in the box. It's not minty enough for me to display it that way, but I guess maybe his was. I don't know. I didn't ask any questions. So that is pretty much my Generation 1 Thundercracker story right there. It's not a childhood story, but that's my story. And what's yours? So, oh, I forgot to look at the date stamping. Let's move his wing stamping right there. When I remember, I try to put it in. It says Takaraco Ltd. 1980, 1983. You see that? 1980. Kids had in Japan, right here. Kids had this toy in 1980, 4 years before we had it. Don't that just piss you off? So it probably was conceptualized in 78, 79 before it became a production piece. So this thing goes way back. So anyway, I'm going to get Thundercracker Transform. Remove his bits, and some bits are coming off. This thing won't stay on for jack. All right, let his feet down, rotate this wing, start to rotate these wings right here. Bend down the cockpit a little bit so we can release the arms. Man, the camera work is awful today. Sorry about that. Split the nose cone and put it through his abdomen. Bring it around the back. Bring the head all the way up. He's one of the rare ones that the eye stickers have remained on for all these years. Like, this muscle was a good batch of stickers back in the day. Take his fist. What do we do with his fist? And there's a right and a left, of course. Put his fist on. Switch out his incendiary guns for the missiles. I'm gonna say it all the time now, and I know they're incendiary guns. And on this side, there is no left, no right. These are exactly the same. You put them on either side, and I've always thought they look so cool. Whoever thought this up, these little things are so cool and easily broken too. Easily broken. And put this little fin back on. And here is Thundercracker in his robotic mode. And I left this out a lot of videos, and a lot of people told me, like, you didn't even say it. Like, a lot of people store his landing gear inside the cockpit. I want to put that in because it's the last jet. Make sure I get that in. Try to remember all the things I left off the other jets videos. And here he is. This entire gray portion is all die cast in the figure. And, of course, the landing gear that is still in robot mode is die cast. I think that's it for the die cast, except for like little pins and screws. But yeah, here is Thundercracker. Never had him as a kid. I love this blue. It's got a little, hope the camera's picking up. It's got some sparkle into the plastic. It's not like a straight up blue. Make another guest appearance right here. Like Scourge is like a straight up blue. No sparkling going on, just the plastic. But he has sparkles in his plastic, which is very, very cool. He has the orange cockpit, which is cartoon accurate. And he didn't make, I love the Marvel comics. Like, it gave the characters a lot more backstory. And Thundercracker didn't do a lot in the Marvel comics or the cartoon. You know, they hid his bio a couple times. Like when he told Megatron to Starscream off. I think it was Fire on the Mountain. He was like, "What's the matter, fearless leader? You and Starscream look real geeky." Maybe the Autobots aren't such wimps after all. And Starscream was like, does he have to make that awful thunder noise? I have a headache. But yeah, he didn't hold his tongue. He wasn't the bravest or strongest of Decepticons, but he let it be known when you pissed him off that he wasn't going to take that crap. But let's take a look at his articulation in this mode. We know it's G1. So what we still got to do is part of the review. His arm will 360 if you move the wing out of the way. You can rotate the cannons because it just peg in. And his missiles launch or just fall out like that right there. So let's come to that. His missile, you can launch the missiles again. Same mechanism. And again, you can actually increase the tension by opening this up. I should do a tutorial on it. Unscrewing it. It's just on one little screw. Open it up and stretch the screw, and then to make the tension a little bit stronger. Like give it a little bit of stretch to make the missiles fire again. It's a trick I learned. I tried it like one time. I can't remember who I tried it on, but it works just fine. I saw a video years ago on it, 10 or more years, and I did it. Continue articulation of wings can move for display options when he's next to other jets to kind of make them look different. They swivel in and out on this little hinge right here. His feet for transformation, they can come up a little bit, make it look like he's taking a step, maybe, sort of, kind of, you know, we're trying here, we're trying. And these things still move if you want to get some position out of that. And that is it. I guess technically you can position the head different or have him look up a little bit, but he's going to get the stomach poking out right there like that. And that is it. The other weapons do not store on his body or his person anywhere. Well, let's take a closer look at him. Let's look at Thundercracker's face. He has that giant sticker goggle thing. It should have been so much nicer if they painted the eyes. Some of the reissues, they do paint the eyes. Speaking of reissues, let me talk about that right now. Thundercracker has, I believe, 2 reissues that I know of. He has the Takara reissue, and he has the US Toys R Us reissue with the giant missile. No, he has 3. He has a Encore where he came in a 2-pack with Skywarp for his reissue. So those are his reissues while I'm thinking about it. And in the Generation 1 line, or the vintage toys, he had, I told you he had the Diaclone, the US release, the Japan release. I never really bring up the Japan releases because they're pretty much the same as the US release, just different packaging. And he has an IGA release, which IGA, they did things their own way. So he has a little bit of a variant, but it's not that different other than I think the silver on the chest is darker and the paint comes off of those figures very, very easily. So he doesn't have a lot of like really variants out there. Pretty much Thundercracker, if you got the G1 Thundercracker, I don't think it's a need to track down the other versions of Thundercracker. And he doesn't have any true knockoff. The Jets don't have knockoffs for some reason. I don't know why they haven't knocked off the Jets, but they sell like a two-thirds scale of a jet that are knockoffs, but they're not full size. As far as knockoffs go for Thundercracker and the Jets, I only know about the Kingdom knockoffs, and I only think they did Starscream. And there was another company, they were called Phantom Fighters, I think it was. They made knockoff jets, but they only used like the overall main body, like the wings were different. I think they kept the launchers, but a lot of it was different. I'm trying to put a couple pictures on the screen. Seeing this is my last jet, trying to flush out this review. And he has like 2 vintage knockoffs, the Kingdom 6 and the Phantom. Those are the knockoffs that I know. And I don't think they even did this color in any of the knockoffs. So if you see Thundercracker at like a toy show or online and you're buying it, it's going to be authentic. It may be a reissue, but most of the time it's going to be authentic. It's either going to be the Diaclone, the Takara G1, the Hasbro G1, the IGA Generation 1. It's going to be authentic because as far as I know, he has no true knockoff in this form. And the American reissue has those big giant missiles, sort of like Starscreams that came at Toys R Us. And the 2 Japan releases are almost identical. And the only way you could tell is that the wings don't fit as flush on the Japanese version. As a matter of fact, I could show you. All right, this is my custom guy. His name is Thunderstorm, same thing. But the wing will not plug all the way in to on the reissue like the vintage version. See how it goes all the way in, and this one sticks out. Same thing in jet mode. You get like a bigger gap right here in jet mode, and that's how you could tell the reissue. Yeah, but I painted this guy and I swapped some of the plastic parts out to just add an extra background jet, because you know they always had like duplicates of him and Starscream walking around, so I kind of went with that. Alright, the voice actor for Thundercracker was John Stevenson, and he has a ton of voice acting credits, but he also voiced Huffer, Windcharger, and Alpha Trion in the G1 cartoon alone. Alright everybody, I almost forgot to size this guy up and run him down. Let's see where Thundercracker scales at with some other figures. Here he is with Siege Thundercracker. And let me just go ahead and keep going. Here he is with Earthrise Thundercracker. Here he is with Studio Series 86 Scourge. And Vintage Generation 1 Scourge. Somebody corrected me. Somebody was like, it's not Scourge, it's Scourge. Scourge, Scourge, Thrust and Dirge, whatever. But here they are side by side. Here he is next to Earthrise Bumblebee. And one more. Here he is next to Masterpiece, at least the Masterpiece for now, Thundercracker. Man, that's a whole, I need to make a video about these guys 2.0, everybody, on the Masterpiece toy. Well, here he is with Masterpiece Thundercracker. This is the Toys R Us version, by the way, if you didn't know. And you know what? One more. Here he is with Generation 1 Reflector. All right, this is the part where I like to give my favorite moment, either through toy or play or media, comic books, cartoons, for the figure I'm reviewing. And my favorite moment for Thundercracker was when Bumblebee and Sparkplug were trying to plant a bomb, or did plant a bomb, in the ruby crystal mines of Burma. Then they tried to run out and got caught by Thundercracker and Skywarp. Now, Thundercracker had the most gangster cartoon moment of any Decepticon, any character it was at that point. He literally punched the shit out of Sparkplug, and Sparkplug hit the wall and like should have been dead. All right, so yeah, that's my toy story. I'm sticking to it. What is yours? What is your favorite toy moment, cartoon moment? What's your favorite Thundercracker moment? Please comment below. And the last thing I want to talk about is buying tips for this toy. If you're buying a toy, you want to try to buy complete, because the accessories can cost you a lot of money. I know complete will cost you a lot of money, but you can buy the core body real cheap, and then by the time you track down accessories, you have spent a lot of money. But you want to check for sticker wear and chrome wear to these figures. And the biggest thing you want to look at is the missiles. I said in all my reviews, you want to make sure the missile is not broken. A lot of times it's broken right here, and you'll get this piece back. And a lot of times this little part that sticks in the launchers hold it for the firing mechanism, is broke off. So you'll have this much of the missile or this much of the missile. You want to make sure you have them. You want to make sure you have two that are correct color, and you want to make sure you have the incendiary guns. I had a chance to say it again. Both fists. And you know what? Single tab, double tab, it really doesn't bother me. Black fist is black fist. I'm happy to own the single tab. You know, just say this is original production run. But other than that, it really doesn't matter. And hopefully you get an authentic one. And hopefully you get a vintage one. There's only 2 reissues that come with identical parts to this one. I told you the differences. So that is my buying tips, and with that we are done with Thundercracker. Tell me what you think in the comments below, and I want to thank everybody for watching another episode of George Reviews, the reviews where every toy has a story.